Joining me right now is Kentucky Congressman, House Financial Services Committee member Andy Barr. Congressman, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Maria.
Are you preparing now? Are you looking to write legislation on a phase 4 stimulus, including an infrastructure bill?
Well, we may need a phase 4, but I think right now we need to take a deep breath and focus on what Jim Bullard was talking about, and that is execution of phase 3. We just passed the CARES Act, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. This is an historic, largest economic rescue package in American history. And I think it's vitally important that we get that right, that we execute, that we implement it correctly, and get that liquidity to small businesses, Main Street America, and make sure that this exchange stabilization fund, along with the Federal Reserve emergency lending authorities, make sure our markets are functioning properly. I think focusing on that first before we move to a phase 4 is critically important.
So, Congressman, we just had on James Bullard, the president of the St. Louis Federal Reserve, who is predicting that unemployment could reach better than 30% in the second quarter, that we've got a situation where 47 million Americans could be out of a job. Do you think what's on the table right now, looking at all of the stimulus, and I should point out that we're talking about something around the lines of 20-25% of GDP, when you consider all the central bank action as well as the fiscal stimulus. So, Congressman, do you think that that's going to be enough, given these dire predictions of 47 million people out of a job?
Well, it may be. We have to evaluate that. We have to evaluate whether the 8 weeks of payroll is enough. And Jim Bullard has helped guide us, along with other members of the Federal Reserve Board. And what they've said to us is that this is not a recession in the typical or conventional way you think about recessions. This is not a business cycle phenomenon. I liked President Bullard's analogy of a construction zone. What this is an intentional, deliberate shutdown of the U.S. economy by the government to respond to a national public health emergency. So we want to look at this in terms of the second quarter and prepare for a rebound in the third and fourth quarter. And I think that's possible, given the historic and enormous monetary support from the Fed, coupled with the 3 phases of fiscal stimulus that we've injected into this economy. And the key to all of this, Maria, is to keep employees connected to their jobs, keep employees connected to their employers. And so while we may need to increase the unemployment or expand the unemployment benefits available to dislocated workers, I think what's so important for the recovery is this small business loan program, which is designed to keep employees on the payroll and to reimburse and, in fact, forgive employers their loans to keep them on the payroll, so that when we do come out of this, on the back end, the jobs are there, the employees are there, they're connected to their employment and to their jobs, and they can restart this economy quickly.
John Hilsenrath, jump in here.
Congressman, can you explain what role Congress has, and also what role inspector generals have for overseeing all the money that it just appropriated for this rescue package?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I'm the ranking Republican on the Oversight Subcommittee. I have jurisdiction over the Treasury Department, and we will have oversight over this exchange stabilization fund, the $500 billion that will go to critical defense, the airlines, and then all distressed industries with employees above 500 and under 10,000. So we're going to be looking at both the direct lending from the 13-3 Fed emergency lending programs, and also some of the additional loan guarantees. You know, when Treasury Secretary Mnuchin talks about levering this up to $4 trillion in lending, we want to make sure that is that money, that 13-3 money, in addition to the funding that Congress has provided, is getting that liquidity out into the economy and helping keep American workers employed. 68 million Americans are employed by larger or mid-sized companies, and that's why we needed to supplement the small business loan program with this $500 billion in the Exchange Stabilization Fund. In addition, we need to monitor the Fed's emergency lending programs to make sure that there's proper market functioning in the asset-backed securities market, fixed income, the money market mutual funds. All of these credit facilities that the Fed has set up, we need to make sure that those critical financial markets are functioning properly.
All right, we will leave it there. Congressman, we know you're working hard on this. Thanks very much, sir. It is good to see you this morning. We'll be watching.
Good to see you, too. We will be stronger and more resilient on the back end.
I like to hear that, certainly. Congressman Andy Barr, we'll see you soon.